Hey, so I'm going to do a little bit different video than I normally do here on the channel. Don't have a product review, but I do want to talk a little bit about kind of the state of paddles and where I see things going in the next 5 years. So there's been a lot of fallout around some of these really hot paddles that have been approved, and there's two kind of approval bodies. There's USAP and there's UPAA. And I think what's going to happen in the future is there's going to be a bifurcation or a split among the paddle manufacturers. And I think you're going to have manufacturers that are primarily going to make paddles for professionals and for professional use in pro tournaments. And you're going to have primarily manufacturers that are going to make paddles for amateurs and recreational players. So amateur tournament players and recreational players. You might have a little overlap where a manufacturer has a paddle that they go get approved for a pro that they're sponsoring in an effort to kind of drive interest in their amateur and recreation brand. But I think for the most part, that's the split that you're going to see. Now, the reason I say that is because right now it's pretty expensive to get a paddle approved for UPAA. And if a brand is not willing to spend that kind of money, then they're not going to be able to sponsor a player on the PPA Tour or in the MLP. Now, they could still sponsor a player on the APP because I believe they're going to continue using the USAP paddle approval process for the near future. But I do see a point where you're going to have manufacturers that make decent paddles, paddles that could probably pass the USAP and UPAA testing, but they're going to choose to only have that paddle tested for USAP because it's cheaper and more players are playing in USAP tournaments than in UPAA tournaments. So what made me want to talk about this? Well, this morning I was looking at a post in a Facebook group by someone who didn't realize that his gearbox power elongated was going to fall off the approval list, the USAP approval list, at the end of June, which means the tournaments that he enters, he's an amateur singles player. He goes around and plays a lot of tournaments. He's not going to be able to use that paddle. Now, I will say this. I've never had anyone in a tournament that's using USAP rules. I've never had a referee or a tournament organizer check my paddle and make sure it's an approved paddle. However, you could have a player who is keen to the rules and knows what's going on say, hey, that paddle's not approved, and bring it up with a tournament organizer. And that could end your day. So what this person was saying was that he didn't know. He doesn't recall getting any kind of notification that he won't be able to use his paddle. And he was asking me, well, he wasn't asking me, he was asking the group where he can find a definitive list of paddles that are going to be sunsetted from the USAP list. And so, of course, I pointed him to USAP's website and their equipment blog that they have as well. So keep an eye on that. Make sure if you're playing with a paddle, that it's still on the approved list, that it's not on that list that's falling off. And think about what manufacturers out there are going to best suit you for your style of play. If you're only playing recreationally and you don't ever intend to play in a tournament, or maybe you're only going to play in kind of little local tournaments that they don't really care about what paddle you use, don't worry about it. Just go find yourself a paddle somewhere, buy it, and play with it. If you do plan to ever show up and play in a USAP certified tournament, make sure that you're with a manufacturer and a brand that's going to continue to get their paddles tested in USAP. And I would say if you have any hopes of ever turning pro, you're going to want to make sure that you're playing with a paddle that's USAP and UPAA double certified. Because, yeah, you could play in the APP, but maybe you want to be an MLP or PPA. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a paddle that's double certified. And those brands are going to be fewer and far between. And I especially think coming up, you're going to see some brands, some of these kind of what I call mid-tier brands, they're only going to double certify, say, one of their paddles. And that's because it's expensive. And you're kind of having to meet two criteria, and that can be a little difficult at times. This isn't an advertisement for any particular brand. I just wanted to share my thoughts kind of on the paddle industry right now, where I see things heading. I might be completely off base. And if you think I'm off base, you know what? There's a comment section below. Hit me up. I'm willing to have a conversation with anyone who is willing to have polite debate. Let's have a conversation. Let's not rail on one another. And hey, next time we'll have a product review, probably some pickleballs, and I got another paddle on the way as well. So that's it. I'm John. I play pickleball and I review pickleball stuff. Oh, by the way, check out my son's channel here. He's traveling around the country. He's headed down to Florida. He's playing a bunch of pickleball and he's going to a bunch of different clubs. He wants to turn pro. He's trying to find places where he can play, get that duper rating up. So check out his channel here. And until next time, bye.